Ma'am, naka-off mic ka po.
Okay. So, ulitin natin, no? So, our topic for today will be epithelial tissue, no? So, this is the first of many tissues that we will be discussing under our human histology class, no? So, in human histology, there are actually four basic types of tissue that we will be encountering, no? So, throughout our body, marami tayong iba't ibang klaseng tissue and they all fall under these four categories, no? So, may mga specialized type, pero basically, they're all under these four categories. No? So the first one we will be discussing is epithelial tissue. So epithelial tissue is basically made up of cells that are polyhedral and they are in aggregate. So magkakadikit sila na tissues na linked together. Usually they form sheets or glands, no? So itong ECM na nakalagay dito, this is the extracellular matrix. So yung nakalagay dito na small amount lang, yung extracellular matrix niya, parang yung supportive structure niya. Sa epithelial tissue, the epithelial tissue is mostly made up of cells na magkakadikit, no? So, they are usually found lining the surfaces of our body as well as lining our body cavities. So, itong epithelial tissue is mostly made up of cells na magkakadikit. They serve as lining. Ang example natin doon, yung skin natin, no? So, your skin cells are aggregates of many, 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 many cells that they form sheets and they are made up of several layers, no? Your epithelial tissue, aside from serving as lining, also uh, uh, is can also form glands, no? So your glands, we will discuss in greater detail later on as we go along the lecture. Basically, these are your glands are sorry, please mute. So so these glands uh, create secretions, no, that have different purposes. So we will discuss the types of glands and the types of secretions they have later on, no. So what are epithelial tissues, no? Sabi natin aggregate siya. So tissues siya na magkakadikit. Ay, sorry. Cells siya na magkakadikit, no? So how and what does epithelium mean, no? So epithelia was discovered no sinaunang panahon, and it was named after a tissue na nakita ng isang scientist back in the old days, no? So there was this scientist who was doing an autopsy. Kumuha siya ng sample from the lips. Okay, so sa bibig kinuha, no? So kumuha siya ng sample on the lips, tapos nakita niya when he viewed that sample under the microscope, yung itsura ng structure mukha siyang nipple. So may nipple-like structure, tapos may nakapatong sa ibabaw nun na aggregates of cells. Kaya siya tinawag na philia. Kasi epi is upon and then thele refers to the nipple-like appearance. So, naging ganun yung tawag na sa kanya from then on. Yung mga ganong klaseng structure ng cells, no? So, epithelium, as I mentioned, lines all the internal and external surfaces of the body. So, the surface of your skin, that's epithelium. The surface of sa face mo, sa hands mo, sa ano mo, everything is covered. Itong external mo, di ba? Everything is covered by skin. So, skin is your external surface of the body. At the same time, yung internal surfaces mo is also covered by epithelium, no? So, yung anything that comes in contact with the environment is covered by epithelium. For example, kumain ka ng pagkain, no? So, your pagkain is something foreign. So, yung pagkain na yun, dadaan siya sa bibig mo. Yung mouth mo, yung loob niyan, your oral cavity, is lined by epithelium. Okay? Pag nilunok mo yun, papasok siya. Your esophagus is also lined by epithelium. Yung buong gastrointestinal tract mo is lined by epithelium. So, this epithelium lines the internal and external surfaces of your body, no? So, all substance that must enter or leave an organ must cross this type of tissue, no? So, for example, di ba, sabi nga natin, kumain ka ng pagkain. So, in order to absorb the food, so kung na-digest mo na yung pagkain mo, pumasok na siya sa small intestine, it became smaller and smaller macromolecules na lang na pwede na siyang i-absorb. Para ma-absorb siya, dadaan siya ng epithelium, no? Kasi yung gastrointestinal tract mo is made up of epithelium, no? Okay? So what are the different functions of your epithelia or your epithelial tissue? Uh, The main one is covering, lining, and protecting your body surfaces. So nga, yung skin natin, di ba? Your skin is part of your primary immunity, yung innate immunity natin, that protects you against injury and also protects you against microorganisms, no? So, para hindi makapasok agad yung infection mo sa bloodstream, you have your covering na skin, no? So, okay? Next, some of your epithelium also serve in absorption, 'di ba? Sabi natin, the gastrointestinal tract is mostly made up of epithelium. Meron din mga muscle tissue doon, etc. Pero mostly made up of epithelium yung lining ng ating digestive system. No, kasi uh, and it's specialized in such a way na it will optimize for absorption. So, mas effective siyang mag-absorb ng nutrients, no? So, makikita natin yung features ng mga different types of epithelium later on. Makikita natin paano siya inoptimize, bakit ganun yung structure niya. Okay? Your epithelia also functions in secretion, no? So, makita natin to later on, di ba? Meron tayong, aside from lining epithelium that lines your surfaces, meron tayong glandular epithelium, or yung glands na tinatawag that create secretions, no? Some of your epithelium also serve as receptors for special senses, no? So, ang example here that you have to remember is yung ating olfactory epithelium, no? So, please excuse my drawing. So, for example, this is a person. This is the nasal cavity. Yung nasal cavity mo, may mga buto dyan. Tatlo. Okay? So, dito sa taas ng nasal cavity mo, nandun, sa ibabaw niya, nandun yung olfactory nerve. So, dyan dumadaan yung nerve impulses mo pag nakaamoy ka ng something, no? So, kung sangsang man yan or mabango man yan. So, inside the nasal cavity, you have something called the olfactory epithelium. Okay? Yung nasa ibabaw na yan. So, when you smell someone, for example, yung kaklase mo, nag-spray ng pabango, no? So, Baccarat Rouge, mabango, di ba? So, pag maamoy mo yon, papasok siya sa iyong nasal cavity. It will go up and it will be detected by the cells over here, which is your olfactory epithelium. So, your epithelium can also serve as receptors, no? And then, yung olfactory epithelium, itatransmit niya yung signals to your olfactory nerve until it reaches the brain. Okay? So, those are some of the functions na ginagawa ng different types of epithelial tissue natin, no? So, what are the key features that you have to expect from epithelial tissue, no? So, yung epithelial tissue natin, they have several things in common. The first one, and the most important one, is that its cells are closely opposed and adhere to one another. So, yung cells mo, closely opposed, ibig sabihin, magkakadikit sila. And they adhere to one another. They stick to each other closely. And the means by which they stick there is via adhesion molecules called junctional complexes. So, itong junctional complexes, yung nagdidikit-dikit sa mga cells natin. Kaya sila hindi naghihiwa-hiwalay. Kaya sila naka-form ng sheets. Kaya sila nagpo-form ng aggregates, no? Okay? So, next. So, for example, this is the picture of your epithelial tissue, no? So, your epithelial tissue, uh, each of these, pink one is a cell. So, yung mga cells na to, meron silang mga junctional complexes in between that makes them stick together. Okay? So, next. Your epithelial cells also exhibit polarity. So, polarity, ibig sabihin, meron kang sense of direction na sinusunod, no? So, north, east, southwest, parang ganun siya, okay? Pero this time, we call them apical, lateral, and basal. So, paano mo ito tatandaan, no? Your epithelial cell kasi, meron siyang tinatawag na basement membrane, no? So, sa basement membrane, doon nakapatong lahat ng epithelial cells mo, no? So, siya yung parang scaffolding wherein your cells are placed. So, meron kang scaffolding, yung basement membrane, and the part of the cell that is connected to the basement membrane, you call that the basal domain. Okay? So, the part of the cells that is connected to the basement membrane is the basal domain. Okay, so okay na tayo dito sa basal domain. The part of the cell that is opposite, yung directly opposite niya, which means this is the part of the cell that is exposed to the environment, no? So kung sa skin mo, naghimay ka ng skin, sinilip mo siya under the microscope, mas nasa ilalim yung basement membrane. The closer you get to the surface, yung nasa ibabaw, dun na yung apical or free domain, no? So, apical or free domain, no? So, yung surface ng skin mo, yung nasa labas, apical portion yon. As you go deeper, may encounter mo yung basement membrane, no? So, yung nasa labas or nakaharap sa cavity or nakaharap sa space, that is your apical kasi as in apex, no? Siya yung tuktok o your apical domain, okay? So you have your basal domain, you have your apical domain, then you have your lateral domain. So lateral means sa side. So left or right side ng cell or kahit sa ang gilid niya, you call that the lateral domain. Okay? So sa gilid ng cell. So this one is the apical aspect. This one is the basal. And these two sides are the lateral. Assuming na ito yung cell na pinag-uusapan natin. No? So, remember the polarity of your cells. Basal, malapit sa basement membrane. Opposite that is the apical aspect. And then, sa sides nun, that's the lateral. Okay? So, next. So, na-mention na natin that your epithelial cells are attached to a basement membrane. So, yung structure ng epithelial cells mo actually ganito. So, di ba you have your basement membrane? Underneath that is connective tissue. So, connective tissue is another type of tissue na i-discuss natin later on. Just remember that underneath your basement membrane is another type of tissue that is different from your epithelia. Okay? So, you have your basement membrane and on top of the basement membrane, doon nakalagay yung different cells mo. Okay? So, these are the cells of your epithelia. Okay? So, your cells are attached to a basement membrane which is a non-cellular layer. So, this is mainly a filter pero hindi siya cells mismo. Yung cells, yun yung nakapatong sa ibabaw, no? So your basement membrane serves as a semi-permeable filter for substances and provides structural support for the epithelial cells. This basement membrane mediates cell-to-cell interactions as well as attaches epithelia to the underlying connective tissue. So parang yung basement membrane mo, naka-attach sa epithelia, at siya yung nagsaserve as connection with the underlying connective tissue. It serves as the scaffolding for rapid repair and regeneration. For example, one of your cells got damaged. So, natanggal yung isa. So, anong gagawin when you want to regenerate that? Siyempre, ang magiging basis mo, gagawa ka ng cell na nakakabit dun sa basement membrane ulit. Okay? So, alam mo na tama yung pagtutubuan niya. Okay? So, yun yung purpose ng basement membrane natin. And the next key characteristic of your epithelia is that it is avascular. So, himayin natin yung word na to. Vascular refers to the word blood vessel, no? So, blood vessel yung avascular. So, kapag may ibig sabihin there is absence. So, ibig sabihin walang blood vessel yung epithelium mismo, no? So, ito yung epithelium mo. Dito sa part na to, wala kang makikitang blood vessel. So, saan makikita yung blood vessel? The blood vessels are actually found in the connective tissue that lies underneath the epithelium. So, yung mga nutrients na dumadaan dito sa ilalim ng epithelium mo, they will simply diffuse upwards or they will undergo yung ginamit nating cellular transport processes uh, in order to supply this epithelial tissue that lies above it, no? So yung nutrients are in the connective tissue beneath the epithelium, no? Yung epithelium mismo wala siyang blood vessels. Okay? Those are the 4 key characteristics of your epithelium. So, they are closely opposed to one another. Cells sila na magkakadikit that exhibit polarity. Meron siyang sense of direction. You have your basal domain, your apical domain, and your lateral domains. Your cells are attached to a basement membrane that separates your epithelium from your connective tissue. So, yung connective tissue na yun, Doon matatagpuan yung blood vessels that actually provide the nutrients to sustain your epithelial tissue. Okay, so tapos na tayo sa key characteristics of your epithelial tissue. Now, let's go to the things that make these things stick together, no? Kasi sabi nga natin, di ba, your tissue is a group of cells. So, paano sila nagdidikit-dikit at nagiging group? You make the cells stick together para hindi sila maghiwa-hiwalay using yung junctional complexes, no? So, kumbaga sa papel, sila yung nagsaserve as stapler para hindi maghiwa-hiwalay yung paper mo, no? So, there are different types of junctional complexes. You have your tight junctions, your anchoring junctions, and then your gap junctions, no? So, there are different functions for each one. And then we will discuss them one by one. So, the first one is your zonula occludens, also known as your tight junction, no? So, itong tight junction is located near the apical surface of the cell. So, ibig sabihin, it's opposite the basement membrane, di ba? So, this is your cell. This is the basement membrane, di ba? Ibig sabihin, yung opposite nun, this is the apical portion. So, it's located near the apical surface. So, actually, if you look at this picture, the tight junction is right over here. Okay? So, your tight junction utilizes the cell membranes of the two cells adjacent to each other in order to form a seal between them. So, pinagdidikit niya yung dalawang magkadikit na magkatabing cell, no? So, it forms a seal between two adjacent cells so that it can control the passage of molecules through the epithelium. Okay? So, ito kasi yung possible paths of your uh, itong dalawang to, possible pathways through which materials can go through the epithelium. Pwede siyang dumaan in between the cells, yung tinatawag nating paracellular pathway. Pwede siyang dumaan through the cell, which is the transcellular pathway. So, having your zonula occludens, actually, pag nagsinil mo yung pagitan ng mga cells na yan, kapag yan ay naging tightly sealed by the presence of the tight junctions, ibig sabihin, hindi na makakadaan dyan yung materials. No? So, they will have no choice but to go through the transcellular pathway. So, madadaanan niya yung mga epithelial cells mo. No? Okay. So, next, another function of your zonula occludens is it separates the apical and basolateral membrane domains. So, ano yung apical? Sinabi natin yung nasa may taas, malapit sa surface. Ano naman yung basolateral? Basolateral domain is the basal domain plus the lateral domain. So, pinagsama lang yun. Pinagsama siyang apical and pinagsama lang yung basal and yung lateral. Naging basolateral membrane domain. So, bakit mo kailangang paghiwalayin yung apical and basolateral membrane domains? Kasi yung function ng apical portion is different from the rest of the cell body, no? So, for example, this epithelium serves to uh, is used in uh, absorption or digestion and absorption, no? So, there are different enzymes found in the apical surface. There are different lipids and proteins needed on the apical surface. So, ang gusto ng cell natin, yung mga kinakailangan niya, i-maintain at the apical portion. Yung mga kailangan ng cells natin to perform the function at the apical portion, manatili sila doon. Hindi sila ma-displace to other parts of the cell. No? So, yung zonula occludens serves as a barrier para hindi maghalo yung molecules ng apical portion dun sa basolateral domains. Okay? So, next. So, aside from your tight junctions or yung zonula occludens natin, you have three types of anchoring junctions. So, yung anchoring junctions provide lateral adhesions to proteins that link into the cytoskeleton. So, yung tight junction, as mentioned earlier, utilizes connections between the plasma membrane of two different cells. Dito sa anchoring junctions, you link the cytoskeleton of two different cells, no? Para mas stable yung pagkakadikit ng dalawang cells mo, no? So, the first of the anchoring junctions that you want to remember is your zonula adherens or your adherence junction. No? So, ang pinagdidikit ng zonula adherens or your adherence junction are your uh, microfilaments na specific type of microfilaments called your actin filaments. No? So, so itong zonula adherens mo, ganito yung itsura niya pag zoom in, no? So these green ones are your actin filaments. So these are microfilaments that surround your cell, no? So paikot yan sa, kung ito yung cell mo, gawin natin siyang 3D. Kunyari, 3D yung cell mong ganyan. Yung cell mo, meron siyang band of, excuse me, meron siyang band of actin filaments around it, no? So, this band of actin filaments surrounding your tissue, pwede niyang i-link yan sa actin filaments doon sa kabilang cell mo. Okay? So, pag pinag-link nila yan, magiging mas matibay yung connection between the two different cells. No? So, this zonula adherence encircles the epithelial cell immediately below and above below the tight junction. So, ito yung tight junction natin kanina. Sa ilalim nun, dun mo makikita yung zonula adherence, no? And then your zonula adherence will stabilize the connections between the actin filaments in one cell and the actin filaments in another cell, no? So hanggang dun yan sa may likod, nakakonect yan dun, no? So the zonula adherence, tandaan, utilizes your cytoskeleton, okay? So next, after your zonula adherence, you have another one. You have your macula adherence. So, macula kasi isang bilog lang siya. Hindi siya kagaya nung zonula adherence that encircles the cell. Your macula adherence, para siyang spot welding na certain spots lang yung involved. No? So, hindi siya buong circumference ng cell. No? So, your macula adherence is also known as a desmosome. So your desmosome is a structure at the surface of one cell that matches another on the surface of an adjacent cell. No, so para siyang butones. Alam niyo yung butones na madaling i-pop? Hindi yung sinusuot sa butas, yung dalawang bakal na pag pinagdikit mo, magsasara siya. So ganun, parang ganong klaseng button siya, yung pinapop na buttons, no? So if you have a desmosome over here, meron siyang matching structure dun sa kabilang cell, no? So here is a closer look at your desmosome, no? So huwag niyo naiintindihin yung mga molecules na yan kasi it's beyond your level. Tignan niyo na lang, just pay attention to the structure, no? So meron kang parang disc-like structure on one cell here, di ba? Ito yung membrane, so pagitan yan. And then you have another similar structure on the other cell, no? So, para silang butones na nagmi-meet, magka-partner, no? So, this macula adherence provides firm adhesion via interacting with another type of, of cytoskeleton na naman. But this time, it's interacting with intermediate filaments. So, yung kanina, si adherence junction, it utilizes your actin filaments. Dito, si macula adherens, it utilizes your intermediate filaments. Okay? Next. The next one of your anchoring junctions is not for lateral domain, no? This one is at the basal domain naman, di ba? Kanina, si adherence junction sa si desmosome, they will bind to the adjacent cell na katabi niya sa lateral domain, no? Itong si hemidesmosome, it will bind to the basal lamina. So, it will bind your cell para nakakapit siya sa basal lamina or sa basal domain, dun sa basement membrane, no? So, ang tawag doon sa anchoring junction na yon is hemidesmosome. Okay? Hemi kasi kalahati lang. Kalahati lang ng desmosome yung itsura niya, no? So, kanina yung desmosome natin, ganito yung itsura, di ba? Dalawang structure na matching. So, parang bilog na magka-match sila. So, dalawa yan. So, dito, dahil hemi, ibig sabihin, isa lang. Okay? Isa lang siya. And then, it's attached to the basal lamina or your basement membrane, no? So, it anchors your anchors the cytoskeleton to the basement membrane, also interacting with intermediate filaments. Okay, so dito sa picture na to, yung green is your actin, the yellow one is intermediate filament. So tandaan, for your desmosomes and hemidesmosomes, ang cytoskeletal element involved is your intermediate filaments. Okay? So, lateral domain, makikita natin si adherence junction that interacts with actin, and your desmosome, which are paired structures that interacts with intermediate filaments. Sa basal domain, doon natin makikita si hemidesmosome that interacts with the basement membrane. Okay? After the anchoring junctions, you have your gap junction. So itong gap junction is less commonly seen in epithelium, but this is a type of junctional complex this is also an important type of junctional complex, no? So itong gap junction, actually, mas makikita mo siya in coordinated cells. For example, yung sa heart muscle natin, yung sa digestive tract natin, yung mga smooth muscle cells doon. Kasi this serves more as communication rather than adhesion of cells with one another. Pero since we're discussing junctional complexes now, nilagay ko na lang din siya dito para you're already familiar with it at hindi natin siya kailangang balikan, no? So your gap junctions are communicating junctions. They allow direct transfer of molecules and ions from one cell to another. So here is your gap junction, no? So meron din dito kasi it will also communicate with cell behind it, no? So you have your gap junction. Your gap junction para siyang channel. So para siyang footbridge between two different cells, no? Di ba? Pag pumunta ka mula ng SM North Main Mall papuntang The Block, merong daanan doon sa pagitan. So ganun yung gap junction, no? So your gap junction uh, allows the passage of substances from one cell to another. So, kung ito yung cell A mo, dito sa cell A mo, magpapasa siya ng ions to cell B, dadaan lang siya ng gap junction, makakarating na siya sa cell B. Okay? So, these gap junctions are more prominent in cells that require coordinated activity of adjacent cells. So, yung sinabi ko na nga example natin kanina is your heart muscle, no? So, your heart muscle requires synchronous contraction. So, kailangan yung contraction niya, maayos yung order. Kung hindi, magkakagulo yung blood flow sa loob ng heart, no? So, kailangan coordinated yung movement ng cardiac muscle cells. Hindi pwedeng nag-contract yung isa tapos magko-contract yung isa, kanya-kanya silang contract. Kasi hindi pwede kasi magkakagulo yung blood flow mo. Hindi mo hindi efficiently makakalabas yung blood sa loob ng heart, no? So, kailangan yung movement of your heart muscle is coordinated, no? So, how does the coordinated movement come about? The cells utilize your gap junction, no? So, kapag may nag-contract na isa, magiging wave of contraction siya across your cardiac myocytes or your cardiac muscle cells. Kasi yung electrolytes triggering the contraction or yung ions triggering the contraction pass through the gap junction from one cell to another. So, para siya nagiging wave-like. Mas synchronized yung movement no cardiac muscle cells kasi may gap junction sila. Okay? So, tapos na tayo dun sa things that make your epithelium stick together, no? So, epithelial tissue uh, form aggregates kasi nga meron tayong junctional complexes. Pero before we go into the classification of the different types of epithelial tissue, merong special structures that can be found in some of these tissues that we have to discuss first. Kasi para mamaya, alam na nyo na yung pag sinabihan kayo kung anong klaseng structure yung nakikita in certain types of tissue, you'll be familiar with it na, no? So, we have apical cell surface specializations. So, himayin natin, these structures are found at the apical cell surface, no? And then, these are specialized. So, ibig sabihin, meron siyang specific function, kaya ganun yung ginawa sa struct. Kaya ganun siya dinesign ni Lord, no? To optimize it for a special function that the cell is performing. Okay? So, the first one is your microvilli. So, your microvilli are finger-like cytoplasmic projections on the apical surface of most epithelial cells. So, finger-like cytoplasmic projections, ibig sabihin mukha siyang daliri na nakaproject. So, ganyan yung itsura niya. Okay, mukha siyang daliri. Finger-like cytoplasmic projections. So your microvilli are seen in epithelia that are specialized for absorption because it serves to increase the surface area of the tissue by 20 to 30 times. So bakit kailangan natin ng increased surface area when you want to absorb something? So let's go here. So for example, sorry, you have two cells. You have a cell na ganyan lang, straight lang yung membrane niya. Nucleus to. And then you have another cell with the apical cell surface specialization. So, meron kang microvilli. So, excuse the drawing. Okay? So, which cell has better absorptive capacity? The answer to that question is this one. Bakit? Kasi for example, you are trying to absorb glucose. Your glucose is a molecule that requires transporters, no? So, meron kang transporter sa iyong cell surface. Your glucose will pass through para ma-absorb niya. Okay? So, dito sa cell na to, kasha dun sa surface niya. So, sa surface lang kasi tayo pwedeng mag-absorb kasi yung the rest of the tissue mo, 'di ba, epithelium yan. So, magkakadikit sila. So, hindi naman siya pwedeng mag-absorb dun sa lateral portion. Sa apical surface ka lang mag-absorb kasi yun yung in contact with the environment, no? So, sa apical surface mo, you have your uh, glucose transporters, no? So, dito, for example, this type of, this cell, meron kang 5 transporters na kasya dun sa surface. So, you can absorb 5 molecules of glucose at a time. Pero, imagine niyo kung meron kang microvilli or cell surface specializations. Mas malaki yung surface area kasi pag binanat mo to, magiging ito, yung length niya, ganyan lang talaga. Ito, pag hinatak mo siya, pag in-straighten mo yan, magiging mas mahaba, mas malaki yung surface area. So, pabor siya sa absorption. Bakit? Because the large surface area allows you to have more transporters on the surface. Di ba? So, mas maraming kakasya na transporters pag mas mataas yung surface area ng cell mo. So, the more transporters you have, syempre, the more molecules of glucose you can absorb at one time, no? So, for each of those transporters, pwedeng may pumasok na glucose molecule. Kaya nga, yung microvilli mo can increase your absorption by 20 to 30 times, increases your surface area by 20 to 30 times, it will also increase your absorption kasi there is more surface for the cells to pass through. There are more surfaces for transporters to be found in, no? So, yun yung importance ng pag-increase ng surface area ng cells natin. Okay? So, you want to increase the surface area in order to increase the absorptive capacity of the epithelium. Okay? So, ano yung structure nitong microvilli na to? Its internal structure contains a core of actin filament. So, yung actin filament is a type of microfilament. So, ito yung itsura niya. Ay, yung mga yan, yung nasa loob, itong kulay, yung dark dito, this is the core, which is made up of actin filament. Okay? Pag sinilip mo yung microvilli under the microscope, kunyari, kumuha ka ng sample from the small intestine. Kasi yung small intestine natin, alam natin, it's the main site of absorption of our nutrients. No? So your small intestine actually has a lot of microvilli. So yung microvilli ng small intestine, pag sinilip mo under the light microscope, it will appear as a brush. No? So parang nga naman kasi siyang brush, di ba? Pag tinignan mo din yung structure nito, para kang nag-zoom in ng toothbrush. No? So it looks like a brush, or a striated border kasi hindi pantay-pantay naman yung cells mo. So, meron siyang stripes or striations in the lumen of this tissue. Okay? So, tapos na tayo sa microvilli. Let's go to the next cell surface specialization, which is your stereocilia. Your stereocilia are similar to your microvilli, except it's longer, no? And more immotile. The structure is similar, actin filaments pa din. And the function is also similar. It's also for absorption. So these are found mainly in the male reproductive system as well. And these stereocilia, specialized forms of that, are seen in the serve as mechanoreceptors in the inner ear. Okay? So these stereocilia are immotile and unusually long. Kapag sa inner ear mo nagalaw yung stereocilia, madedetect na yun. So, depende kung saang pathway ka. Kung sa vestibular, it will affect your balance. Kung sa auditory, it will be detected as vibration. So, magagamit siyang sensor for sound. Okay? Your stereocilia, parehas lang silang nag increase ng surface area, nag increase ng absorptive capacity. Mas common si microvilli. Okay? So, next. After your stereocilia, you have your third type of apical cell surface specialization, which is your cilia. So your cilia are highly motile hair-like extensions of the apical plasma membrane that are larger than microvilli. So, himayin natin. Highly motile, so nagagalaw itong cell surface specialization na to. They look hair-like extensions of the apical portion. So, apical portion pa rin natatagpuan to kasi we're talking about apical cell surface specializations. Okay? So, your cilia contains an axoneme, which is a microtubule-based core structure that is continuous with basal bodies found below the cell membrane that anchors the structure to the cytoskeleton. Ang daming sinabi. So, what does that mean? Your cilia, yan yung cilia mo, meron siyang microtubule core, tapos meron siyang basal body sa ilalim. So, imagine niyo para siyang buhok. 'Di ba? Pag hinatak mo yung buhok, pag tinanggal ka ng buhok, pag tingin mo dun sa buhok, merong parang kulay puti sa end. Assuming na hindi mo siya naputol, no? Assuming na natanggal mo siya at the root. So, yung parang puti sa end, yung root ng hair mo, isipin nyo, parang ganun yung basal body, no? So, yung root na yun ay yung nag-anchor sa cilia mo to the cytoskeleton of the whole cell, no? So, what is the purpose of this cilia? Bakit kailangan ng cilia na parang hair-like structure on the surface of the cell? Uh, at bakit microtubule based yung core niya, no? Kasi kailangan gumagalaw yung cilia natin. The cilia exhibit rapid beating patterns in order to propel a current of fluid and suspended matter in one direction. So, ang ginagawa ng cilia mo, it propels substances found on the surface of the cell. For example, an important structure in the female body that is ciliated is your fallopian tube. So kapag yung egg during intercourse, no? So 'di ba, ma-fertilize yung egg if the time is right. So meron kang egg ngayon na nakalocate sa fallopian tube. The sperm cell will travel to the fallopian tube and the fertilization will happen in the fallopian tube. No? So you have your fertilized egg. Yung zygote mo nasa fallopian tube. Pero tandaan that your baby grows in the uterus, no? Hindi siya sa fallopian tube lumalaki. Kasi hindi naman siya kasya sa fallopian tube. Ectopic pregnancy yun kapag hindi siya napunta sa uterus, no? So, yung egg mo na nasa fallopian tube uh, will be carried to the uterus. How do they move the egg in the fallopian tube to the uterus? It utilizes your cilia. Kasi your fallopian tube has cilia. For example, imagine niyo ito yung fallopian tube nyo. You have your zygote over here. Tapos dito yung direction papuntang uterus. So what will happen? Para siyang iwawalis. Para siyang pagpapasapasahan ng cilia until such time na makarating yung egg mo dun sa site of implantation in the uterus. Okay? So para siyang, it will propel the zygote that is on the surface of the cilia. Okay? So another example of your cilia is the cilia found in your respiratory tract. For example, ikaw ay for example, nagluluto ka, tapos nakasinghot ka ng paminta, di ba? So, ma-irritate yung ilong mo. So, the paminta is a foreign substance. Pag na-inhale mo yun, tapos pumasok siya sa may upper respiratory tract, madedetect yun ng cells mo as an irritant. So, alam niya na foreign to, foreign yung na-inhale mo. What will the cells do? yung ciliary elevator will be activated, no? So, merong cilia sa loob ng respiratory tract. The cilia will propel that paminta that you inhaled upwards para eventually, uh, mababahin ka at mailalabas mo kung ano man yung nakapasok accidentally. Okay? So, the cilia will push that thing upwards until makarating siya sa opening para pwede siyang ilabas. Okay? So, doon yun ang three types of apical surface specialization that we will be encountering. Now, let's go to the meat of our discussion, which are the different types of epithelia. No? So, we have two major types. You have your lining and your glandular epithelium. So, yung lining epithelium is the one that lines the cell surfaces of our body. Your glandular epithelium is based more on is the one that is more specialized towards secretion, no? So, yung lining epithelium mo is classified structurally based on the number of layers and the shape of cells. Okay? So, when you classify them according to number of layers, you simple kapag isang layer lang, stratified kapag more than one, pseudo-stratified pag mukhang stratified pero actually hindi. Okay? And then based on the shape of cells, squamous are flattened cells. You have your cuboidal, parang cube. Columnar, so taller than it is wide. And then you have your transitional cells. So this one is the one that adjusts depending on the situation. No? So these two classifications, you can combine them when you are trying to figure out the structure of these cells. No? So for simple squamous, so pwede mo sila pagsamahin, simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, and then pwedeng stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal, stratified columnar. Okay? So, pwede mo siyang pagsamahin as far as simple and stratified are concerned. So, pero meron din tayong pseudo-stratified and transitional lang. Okay? So, dun muna tayo sa simpler lining epithelia natin. Siyempre, dun muna tayo sa simple epithelium. Those epithelium that are made up of only one cell layer. No? So, the simplest one is the simple squamous epithelium. So, sabi natin, simple means one cell layer thick. So, isang layer lang siya of cells. And then, squamous, ibig sabihin, parang flattened square. So, it's a single layer of thin or flattened cells, no? And it directly resting on the basement membrane. So, ito yung basement membrane mo in this diagram. The layer above it is the simple squamous epithelium. Okay? So, tandaan sa simple squamous epithelium, the cell is wider than it is tall. Kasi flattened lang yung cells natin dito. A key feature that you will observe in your simple squamous epithelium is that the cell nuclei are thick and they are the most visible structures. Okay? So, bakit ba certain tissues in our body are lined by simple squamous epithelium? Your simple squamous epithelium kasi, by virtue of being thin and flat, has a smooth surface. So, dahil smooth yung surface niya, di ba? Pag smooth, mas mababa yung friction. Hindi kagaya kapag may garol-garol dyan, mas increased yung friction between surfaces. So, ito, kapag meron kang squamous epithelium, the friction is decreased. At the same time, by virtue of being very thin, this simple squamous epithelium is more ideal compared to the other types as far as passage of gas and liquids or fluids is concerned. Kasi kung may something ka na ipapass from here to the other side of the cell, pag mas manipis yung epithelium mo, syempre, mas madali niya magagawa yun. Kung columnar yan, mas malayo pa yung kailangan niyang tawirin. Okay? So, what are examples of your simple squamous epithelium? You have your serous lining of your cavities, your endothelium, and your alveoli in the lungs. So, yung alveoli natin sa lungs, nag-anatomy na ba kayo? Nag-anatomy na kayo, di ba? So, you have your alveoli in the lungs, di ba? Yung alveoli na lang sa lungs mo, mukha siyang ubas. This is the end of your respiratory tract. So, pagpasok mo ng respiratory tract mo, eventually makakarating ka sa alveoli. Sa alveoli, nangyayari yung alveoli mo, nakabalot yan na, marami diyang malapit na blood vessels kasi gusto nating i-oxygenate yung blood that passes through the lungs, no? So, for gas exchange of oxygen inside the alveoli into the capillaries, kailangan manipis lang yung layers, no? So, your alveoli one cell layer thick. Yung blood vessels mo, yung capillaries mo is also one cell layer thick, no? So, para mas makonti lang yung kailangan nilang tawirin, mas madaling mag-pass yung magkaroon ng exchange of gases and waste materials. Okay? Next, another example of simple squamous epithelium is your endothelium. So, ano yung endothelium? Your endothelium, if you recall, is the lining of your blood vessels. So, meron kang blood vessel dyan. Kunyari, artery to. So, meron kang artery. So, you have your three layers, tunica adventitia, tunica intima, and tunica media. So, yung gitna nun is the muscle tissue ng artery mo, kaya mataas yung pressure niya. Yung innermost layer nun, yun yung tinatawag nating endothelium. So, this endothelium is one cell layer thick, no? So, this endothelium, dahil siya ay thin and flattened, the surface of your endothelium inside the lumen of the blood vessel is very smooth. So, bakit kailangan natin ng smooth surface sa lining ng blood vessels? Siyempre, para walang turbulence yung blood flow. So, kasi kapag may mga humps dyan, for example, as seen in atherosclerosis, mas prone ka to vessel injury, kasi magiging magulo yung blood flow sa katawan mo. Tapos mas bababa din yung blood supply sa ibang lugar kasi turbulent dun sa preceding supplier. Okay? Next, your simple squamous epithelium is also seen in the serous lining of cavities. No? So, yung ating body cavities, meron tayong three important ones. Meron tayong pleural cavity for the lungs. You have your peritoneal cavity dito sa may bandang abdomen. And then you have your pericardial cavity. So, anong purpose ng pagkakaroon ng lining ng mga places na to? For example, yung sa peritoneum natin, yung sa may abdomen natin, no? The outside of your organs is actually lined by simple squamous epithelium. Bakit? Kasi yung mga organs mo dito sa loob ng abdomen mo, magkakadikit lang yan. Yung stomach, yung small intestine, large intestine. So, pwede silang magkiskisan. So, in order to avoid that friction, para hindi ma-damage yung organs natin, your organs are covered by serous lining that lowers the friction para hindi sila mag-abrade sa isa't isa. Okay? So here are pictures that visualize your simple squamous epithelium. So this is an artery. So meron kang innermost layer, ito yung loob ng artery. You have your muscle layer ng artery mo. And then sa ilalim, meron pa yung isa pang connective tissue layer. So, ang titignan mo dito is the one near the lumen. Yung the one near the lumen is where you find your endothelium. So, ganito siya, no? As you can see, the endothelium is merely one cell layer thick. Okay? So, it serves to how to have a smooth surface dun sa blood vessels natin. Okay? Next, itong other picture naman, this one is your mesothelium or yung lining ng peritoneum natin, no? So, ito yung cells sa ibabaw. So, it's a simple lining. It is one cell layer thick. That serves to decrease the friction outside the intestine. Okay? So, tapos na tayo sa simple squamous. So, now let's go to simple cuboidal. Cuboidal, ibig sabihin parang square shaped yung cells niya, no? So, height is relatively equal to width this time. Kanina, yung cells mo, maninipis lang sila na flattened. Dito sa cuboidal, sila ay squarish, no? And kanina, the prominent one is the nucleus. Dito, marami namang cytoplasm. Okay? And the nucleus is located at the center of the cell. Okay? So, cuboidal cells. So, when you encounter the cuboidal, ang tendency mo dapat isipin is for secretions or excretions. So rich kasi yung cytoplasm ng cuboidal cells. So, marami silang organelles that will be needed in order to make these secretions. So, an example of which is your kidney tubules, your thyroid follicles, and some of the ducts of your small endocrine glands. So this one on top is a thyroid follicle. Okay, so yung mga pink na yan, those are colloid. So that's not cellular material. That's extracellular material. Yung nasa pagitan niya, Doon mo makikita pag zoom in mo yung simple cuboidal epithelium. Okay? Next, you have your kidney tubule. So, various parts of your kidney actually utilize utilize cuboidal epithelium, no? Kasi at also serves in tubular secretion. So, pag sinilip mo under the microscope yung epithelium in your kidney, you have your simple cuboidal epithelium. As you can see, nasa gitna yung nucleus nila and it's surrounded by copious amounts of cytoplasm. Okay? So, next, you have naman your simple columnar epithelium. So, your simple columnar epithelium naman is a single layer of tall, slender cells resting on the basement membrane. Okay? So, yung simple columnar epithelium is taller than it is wide, no? And the nucleus actually is usually located towards the base of the cell. Bakit? Kasi yung apical portion ng simple columnar epithelium is usually occupied or have cell surface specializations such as your cilia and your microvilli, no? So, since simple columnar epithelium, dahil meron siya nung specialization na yun, makikita mo rin yung function nitong simple columnar epithelium, no? For example, in your intestines, your intestinal lining is mostly simple columnar epithelium. Kasi, specialized siya for absorption, di ba? Sabi natin, your microvilli is necessary in order to increase the surface area. Okay? Para pag mas mataas yung surface area, there is more surfaces available for absorption. At the same time, simple lang siya, hindi siya stratified columnar kasi you're also trying to absorb these substances and later pass them on to the bloodstream. So, hindi mo naman gugustuhin na makapal masyado yung epithelium. Okay? So, some of the other examples, you have your renal collecting duct, which is also made of simple columnar epithelium, as well as your oviducts or your fallopian tube. No? So, sa fallopian tube na mention natin kanina, meron ding cell surface specialization. At this time naman, it's your cilia. Okay? So, next. So, tapos na tayo dun sa tatlong types of simple epithelium, pero meron tayong actually isa pa. So, this one is not, it doesn't seem so apparent that it's actually one cell layer thick. Kasi, medyo deceiving yung itsura niya, no? So, your pseudo stratified columnar epithelium is actually just one layer of cells, pero pag tinignan mo siya under the microscope, hindi siya mukhang one cell layer thick. Okay? So, pseudo, ibig sabihin, it's false, no? So, it's falsely stratified columnar epithelium. Columnar because most of our cells are tall and columnar. Pero, some of its cells are short basal cells. So, ibig sabihin, maliliit sila and they are located near the base. Okay? So, your basal cells, you have your tall and columnar cells. So, magkasama silang lahat sa isang epithelium. That's why, pag sinilip mo sila, yung nuclei nila tends to look staggered. So, mukha kang may several different layers of cells unless you look closely, no? So, they have staggered nuclei that gives a sense of impression that this epithelium is made up of several layers. The pseudostratified columnar epithelium are also usually ciliated. So, some of the examples of this pseudostratified columnar epithelium are most of the respiratory tract as well as parts of your male reproductive tract, no? So, sa respiratory tract, your pseudostratified columnar epithelium, uh, as mentioned, di ba? If you zoom them in, uh, if you zoom this in, si pseudostratified columnar epithelium in the respiratory tract is actually ciliated. Okay? So, sinabi natin kasi kanina, di ba? When you inhale an irritant, na hindi dapat nakapasok sa respiratory tract mo, the respiratory tract needs a way in order to remove the unwanted substances, no? So, you have your mucociliary elevator kasi maraming cilia sa respiratory tract. And that cilia is the one that will propel the substance on the surface of your respiratory tract para madali siyang sneeze or i-cough up. Okay? So, here is the summary of your simple squamous epithelium. Uh, So, a simple epithelium rather. So, for squamous epithelium, as you can see, the cells are flattened One cell layer thick lang lahat ng sinabi natin, no? So, squamous epithelium, the cells are flattened. An example of which, as we mentioned, is your endothelium. Okay? You have your cuboidal epithelium na mukhang cube, mukha siyang squarish. There is nucleus and there is abundant cytoplasm because your cuboidal epithelium is concerned with uh, synthesis, no, of your secretions. And then you have your columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelium is usually taller than it is wide. Madalas meron silang cell surface specialization. And then its nucleus is also usually located towards the base. Okay? Next, you have your pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Mukha siyang stratified but actually not quite. Okay? Tandaan niyo yun. Mukhang stratified but actually not quite. Okay? So, pseudostratified columnar epithelium, mukhang stratified pero hindi. Okay? No? So, tapos na tayo sa simple epithelium. Now, let's go to the stratified epithelium, which is your epithelium that contains more than one cell layer, no? So, of course, dun muna tayo sa stratified squamous epithelium. So, squamous kasi flattened yung cells sa ibabaw, okay? So, stratified, ibig sabihin, multiple cell layers thick yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. No? So, hindi lang kanina, basement membrane, tapos one cell layer, tapos na. Dito sa stratified, there are multiple layers in between before you reach the apical surface. No? So, Uh, so, so there are several layers of cells, yung flattened, yung surface cells. So when you look at the cell as the tissue as a whole, hindi mo pagbabasihan yung cell shape dito. Ang pagbabasihan mo is the shape of the cells at the surface. This goes for the other stratified epithelium as well, no? So ibabasihan mo yung cell shape dun sa cell at the surface, no? So your stratified squamous epithelium is the one that is usually used as lining to serve as protection against invasion of underlying tissue by microorganisms. So the very important and most prominent example of your stratified squamous epithelium is your skin. Diba? Your skin is part of your innate immunity kasi siya yung physical barrier mo against infection. Okay? So, and then other examples of stratified squamous epithelium are your oral cavity, as well as your cervix and vagina, yung loob din ng esophagus mo, no? So, there are two types of stratified squamous epithelium. So, it's classified according to keratinization, no? So, keratinization is a process by which your cells fill with keratin. So, pag napupuno sila ng keratin, eventually, mabdi-displace yung nuclei and organelles sila, and eventually, the cell will die, no? So, this keratinization is undergone by cells in order to optimize the tissue to prevent water loss, no? So yung example ng keratinized stratified squamous epithelium that is keratinized is your skin, 'di ba? So yung skin natin, pag binasa mo siya, hindi naman niya i-absorb yung water agad-agad, no? Usually, pag inano mo, pag finlick off mo yung water, for the most part, magiging mas dry na siya, no? So, hindi siya nag-absorb ng water. Hindi siya parang tissue paper na pag nabasa, absorb the water, no? So, may waterproofing component yung skin natin, no? So, that's an important feature of your stratified squamous epithelium. It's waterproofing. At the same time, it prevents loss of water. So, it prevents evaporation ng uh, fluids mo sa katawan, no? So, yung mga patients, for example, meron tayong mga patients na nagkaroon ng severe burns, di ba? Kunyari, nasunugan ng bahay, hindi nakatakas agad, o kaya nabanlian ng kumukulong tubig all over the body. But, yung mga burn patients, usually, affect yung several layers ng ano nila, ng skin nila. So, eventually, matatanggal, parang pag nabanlian ka kasi ng tubig, matatanggal yung keratinized layer of the skin mo. So, these burn patients are actually very prone to dehydration. Kasi wala sila nung keratinized, kasi nabawasan yung layers of the skin nila. Yung keratinization is not there. So, there is nothing to prevent water loss via evaporation, no? So, imbes na yung fluid na sa katawan nyo lang, nag-evaporate siya kasi walang barrier to prevent water loss, no? So your skin is very important, okay? So, So, yun yung importance ng keratinization. Okay? Meron din naman tayong so ganito pala yung itsura ng stratified squamous keratinized epithelium, no? So, this one on top is your uh, squamous epithelium of the skin, no? So, this is stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. As you can see here, nandito sa taas yung keratinized cells, no? Pag keratinized cells or dead cells na, di ba sabi natin, these cells lose their nuclei and organelles. Wala ka makikitang nuclei dyan sa area na yan because this is made up of dead cells. Okay? Next. Meron din naman tayong epithelium that is not keratinized, no? So you have your example over here. This is the esophagus. So this is the esophagus. Okay? So the squamous cells, nandito siya sa ibabaw. Okay? So this is the layer of your epithelium. So stratified siya kasi more than one cell layer thick. Makikita mo, wala ka nung ganito. So, because there is no keratinization going on. It's simply just a stratified squamous epithelium. Okay? So, next, you have naman your stratified cuboidal epithelium. So, this one is rarer, no? So, yung dalawang stratified layers na kasunod na i-discuss natin is rarer, no? Yung stratified cuboidal and stratified columnar. It's not very common in the human body. Kapag stratified epithelium, usually talaga, squamous yung na-encounter natin kasi it serves as protection, no? So, as far as stratified cuboidal epithelium is concerned, konti lang yung layers niya. Usually, 2 to 3 layers thick lang siya. Tapos, cuboidal cells are resting atop the membrane. And of course, the uppermost or the surface cells are cuboidal in shape, no? So, itong stratified cuboidal epithelium is not as involved in absorptive or secretory activity. I mean, it's part of your glands. Pero, sorry, it's part of it is found in your glands such as your salivary and sweat glands. Pero hindi naman siya kagaya nung but uh, hindi ganoon ka-significant yung pagiging stratified niya, no? Para lang maging mas makapal at mas robust yung lining compared to a simple cuboidal epithelium, no? So, cuboidal pa rin siya in that it's involved in secretion, di ba kanina sabi natin, your simple cuboidal, tsaka ito, stratified cuboidal. So, meron pa rin secretion involved. So, it's just thicker. So, parang mas pinatibay lang nila yung epithelium na yun. Pero, hindi naman siya super common in our body. You only see it mainly in your salivary and sweat glands, no? So, 2 to 3 cell layers thick na cuboidal yung surface tissue. Okay? And then the last one is even rarer. You have your stratified columnar epithelium. So, this is columnar epithelial cells at the surface. So, mas columnar yung taas. Yung basal layers niya are actually cuboidal. So, you have columnar apical cells made up of 2 to 3 cell layers thick, no? So, your stratified columnar epithelium is actually only seen in your eyelid. So, may palpebral conjunctiva. So, if this is your eyeball, if you recall, yung ating palpebral conjunctiva. So, palpebra refers to the eyelid, no? So, conjunctiva is the one that, the covering, no? Over here, sa ilalim ng eyelid. Kasi dito, this is stratified squamous, di ba? Kasi that's skin, yung labas ng eyelid mo. Yung nasa ilalim ng eyelid mo, di ba? Pag inanon mo siyang gano'n, may lining yun sa ibabaw. So, yung lining nun sa ibabaw is your stratified columnar epithelium. Okay? So next, the last type of stratified epithelium is your transitional epithelium. So this transitional epithelium is very unique, no? It's found in your urinary tract, urinary bladder, and some parts of the ureter. So your transitional epithelium is one that adjusts to the contents of the urinary bladder. Kapag walang ganong laman yung urinary bladder mo, it's relaxed. Kapag napupuno na siya ng ihi, it flattens to accommodate the higher urine volume, no? So, your transitional epithelium goes through transition, kaya siya naging transitional. So, nagbabago-bago siya depending on the state of your bladder. Kapag walang laman, it's relaxed, ibig sabihin, mas mataas, mas makapal yung transitional epithelium. Kapag maraming ihi na nilalaman yung transitional epithelium, syempre, in order to accommodate the higher volume of urine, the transitional epithelium will become flattened. Okay? So that is the point of your transitional epithelium. It accommodates more urine. to be stored in your urinary bladder habang hindi mo pa siya kayang, hindi ka pa pwedeng excrete ng urine. Okay? It also is able to withstand the toxicity of urine kasi nga, for temporary storage siya ng urine, no? So, the urine will stay in the bladder for uh, quite some time. Kaya, kailangan, kayang i-withstand ng cells of your urinary bladder yung urine toxicity. Okay? So, ganito yung itsura niya. Tandaan, the surface cells are described as dome-shaped cells, no? So, kapag ito ay relax, syempre, kapag na-distend na siya, napuno na siya ng ihi, these dome-shaped cells will flatten. Okay? So, ganito yung itsura ng transitional epithelium. Okay? So, the surface cells are dome-shaped. Kapag zoom in mo to. Okay? So, the surface cells of your transitional epithelium are dome-shaped. That they will flatten once your urinary bladder becomes distended. Okay? So next, so this is the summary of the different types of stratified epithelia. You have your squamous, your cuboidal, your columnar, and transitional. Your squamous is divided into two. You have your keratinized and non-keratinized. Keratinized is for waterproofing and preventing water loss. So this is seen in your skin. Makikita nyo, merong keratinized dead cells dun sa ibabaw ng epithelial layer, no? So, it's multiple layers plus mayroon pa siyang extra layers of dead keratinized cells. Okay? Next, you have your non-keratinized squamous epithelium. So, basically, this is just a squamous epithelium na walang keratinization going on. So, it's multiple layers of cells with flattened cells at the top. Okay? Next, you have your cuboidal epithelium, which is usually 2 to 3 cell layers thick lang, and the cells are cuboidal in shape, found in your salivary and sweat glands. And then you have your columnar epithelium, which is taller than it is wide. Columnar epithelia that is stratified is also very rare and are seen in the palpebral conjunctiva. And then the last one is the one that adjusts to the level of stretch needed by the urinary bladder. No, when it's relaxed, the tissue tends to be taller. The surface cells appear to be dome-shaped. Pero when it is distended, the surface cells will flatten, okay, in order to accommodate a greater volume of the urine. Okay? So, next. So, meron lang tayong several epithelial cells or epithelial tissue na merong mga special names. So, daanan na rin natin yung mga special names na to since kukunti lang naman sila. So, as we mentioned earlier, the endothelium is the simple squamous epithelium that lines the blood vessels. No? So, being simple squamous, it provides a smooth surface so that your blood flow will go smoothly. It will not be disturbed. So, another type of functional epithelium is the mesothelium. So, sabi natin, you have several body cavities. And in these body cavities, the organs have lining around them, no? Para hindi sila magkaroon ng friction with the other organs as well as yung skeleton or yung structural support ng katawan natin such as your ribs, your uh, other bones in the body, etc. Okay? And then you have your myoepithelium, which are epithelial basket cells that serve in remodeling scars of the skin. So, myo, ibig sabihin, there is contraction. Kasi myo means muscle, no? So, there is contraction para yung scars mo lumiit ng lumiit at mag-oppose yung kailangang mag-oppose. Okay? Next, you have your endometrium, which is the lining of the uterus. So, endometrium thickens when preparing for pregnancy, no? So, bago ka magka-mens, so the female, the female in reproductive age, di ba meron tayong menstrual cycle, no? So, prior to menstruation, you have your ovulation. Habang nag-ovulate ka, kumakapal ng kumakapal. Kapag nag-ovulate ka, pakapal ng pakapal yung endometrium in preparation for implantation. In preparation for the baby that will be grown in that uterus provided na ma-fertilize yung egg niya, no? So, in order to support the incoming baby, that lining of the uterus thickens and thickens. Pero kung hindi na-fertilize yung egg na ni-release ng ovary, what happens is you have your monthly visitor. Kasi yung endometrium that has grown thicker and thicker, it will be sloughed off in the form of menstruation. Kasi the hormones cannot maintain it anymore because there was no fertilization that took place, no? So next, you have your germinal epithelium, which is found in layers of ovaries and seminiferous tubules. So yung mga germ cells, yung mga primitive cells na yan, this is more on, we will discuss this in your reproductive tract portion, no? And then your glandular epithelium, made up of glands which serve to produce secretions. Okay? So, doon na tayo. Tapos na tayo sa lining epithelium, no? Lining epithelium yung diniscuss natin kanina. Now, let's go to glandular epithelium. So, glands are structures that produce different types of molecules, no? So, for secretion, no? So, you can classify your glands based on what they secrete, how they secrete things. You can also classify them based on structure. So, yung nakasulat dito is the classification of glandular epithelia based on structure. So, in the first place, what are glands, no? So your glands are epithelial cells that function mainly to produce, store, and secrete various macromolecules. Ito yung gumagawa ng secretions for different functions. So your proteins can be secreted by your glands. The example of which are the digestive enzymes found excreted by the exocrine pancreas. The lipids produced by the sebaceous glands, yung tinatawag nating sebum. And then, your glands can also produce milk via the mama. Yung glands in the mammary gland can also be used to produce milk, which is a type of carbohydrate. Your glands can also be divided into uni and multicellular glands. So the only unicellular gland that is relevant to our topic of discussion is your goblet cells. No? So your goblet cells are found in the lining of the mucous and the respiratory and digestive tracts. Kasi nakasabay. Kasi these parts of the body require a lot of lubrication. No? So the goblet cells exist there in order to secrete lubricating mucus. So mucus is a viscous substance containing glycoproteins. No? So we will discuss that later on when we go into the types of secretions. Okay? So there are two major types of glands depending on the presence or absence of a duct, no? So kasi yung mga glands natin, they actually came from lining or covering epithelia. And then they grow downward. So it expands downward rather than sa ibabaw ng cell, no? So the glands grow downward. Eventually, you will form a secretory portion as well as a duct portion that connects it to the source epithelium, no? Yung pinanggalingan niyang lining, no? So, if there is a duct in between, then you call that an exocrine gland. So, because the secretory portion of your gland remains connected with the original epithelium. Kapag naman, the duct that should have connected the secretory portion and the epithelium has been removed or has disappeared. Therefore, you now have an endocrine gland. So, endocrine glands are glands without ducts. Bakit? Wala silang ducts. They got disconnected from the original surface epithelium. So, para ipakalat ang kanilang mga produkto, these endocrine glands will actually release their products into the bloodstream. In this manner, the secretions of your endocrine glands will also reach further locations compared to your exocrine. Kasi yung exocrine, since local lang yung ine-excrete niya, so the effect is more immediate surroundings. No, si endocrine can actually be used, the secretions of your endocrine glands can be used then in signaling to distant organs. Okay? So next, you have your classification of glands based on the product, no? So, depende sa kung ano yung type of secretion, pwede mong i-classify yung glands mo there. Sorry. So, the first type of secretion is your serous glands, no? So, yung serous glands mo secrete serous secretions. Your serous secretions are watery proteinaceous fluids. So, para silang tubig na may konting halo, no? So, example of which is the gland found on the lateral aspect of your cheek, your parotid gland. Your pancreatic exocrine glands, yung part ng pancreas natin that produces digestive enzymes, as well as your glands. Kasi parang watery lang naman yung sweat natin. Okay? And then you have your mucus glands. Your mucus glands, tandaan nyo may letter O kasi it's in description of what it secretes. Yung secretion itself, you call it mucus na walang O, no? So the mucus secretion is a mixture, a viscous mixture, ibig sabihin malapot, of glycoprotein and water. So, ito yung mga parang sipon na nakikita natin, no? So, an example of something that secretes your mucus are your epithelial cells in the stomach as well as the goblet cells lining your respiratory and digestive tract, no? So, these goblet cells will release mucus. Okay? Next, you have your mixed glands, no? So, your mixed glands have both serous and mucus secretion. So you have your submandibular and sublingual glands. These are salivary glands found in the inferior aspect of the mandible as well as under the tongue. No, so that is your mixed glands are also seen in the trachea and esophagus. Okay? So, and then the last one is a secretion of lipids, no? Yung sebum. So this sebum is produced by sebaceous glands on the skin. Okay? So this one is more water insoluble compared to the others. Okay? So next, we have naman the classification based on the mechanism of secretion. So here, kung paano nire-release ng cells, yun yung yun yung classification niya, no? So kapag the cell is really, when your cell releases the product via exocytosis, there's no damage to the cell that releases, then you call that type of gland as merocrine. Okay? So there's no loss of cellular material. The product is released properly via exocytosis. That's merocrine. Okay? Next, you have your holocrine. Holo is whole. So it involves the entire cell, no? So holocrine secretion occurs when the product is released via disintegration of the entire cell that is filled with the product. So, an example of which is the release of sebum by sebaceous glands in the skin. So, ano nangyayari dito sa holocrine? Meron kang gland kasama sa developmental timeline niya yung pagiging yung pinupuno siya nung product na i-release niya eventually. So, you have a sebaceous gland cell. That cell will eventually be filled with sebum. And then when your body wants to secrete sebum, isasama niya yung cell na yun and allow it to disintegrate. No? So next, you have your apocrine gland. So apocrine, ibig sabihin, malapit sa apical aspect of the secretory cell. No? So sinabi ko na, nag-hard lunch na your apocrine cells are released with a part of the apical cytoplasm. So if you have a cell like this that will release a secretion, ang mangyayari dito masasama yung upper part ng apical cytoplasm during release. So this is found in lipid secretion of mammary gland epithelial cells. No? So here is the visualization of the different types of mechanism of secretion. No? So here, you have your merocrine gland. You simply undergo exocytosis and then those molecules will go through the duct to be stopped. Go through the duct and then exit onto the surface of the epithelium. Okay? Next, you have your holocrine gland. So, holocrine gland, the whole cell itself is disintegrated. No? So, holocrine, whole. So, you have a cell that is filled with the product and then you will completely disintegrate that. Okay? Next, you have your apocrine gland. So, pag apocrine gland, there is pinching off at the apical portion of the cytoplasm. So, you have a cell over here that contains substances. When you release the substance, there will be pinching off of the other part. May maiiwan at may iwan ka sa mismo. Okay? So, those are the types of glands based on mechanism of secretion. So, last two slides, we will be discussing the classification of glands based on structure. No? So, there are two major types. No? They have your simple glands and then your compound glands. No? So, for your simple glands, there is only one duct leading to the surface of the epithelium. There is only one duct that leads to the surface of the epithelium. Okay? And then you have your compound glands. No? So your compound glands naman is made up of multiple ducts that converge to form larger ducts that eventually lead to the surface of the epithelium. Okay? So, dun muna tayo sa simple glands, no? So, your simple glands are classified based on structure. Meron tayong tubular glands which are elongated, elongated glands, no? So, elongated yung shape niya. You have your simple tubular. So, para siyang tube, para siyang elongated tube, no? So, simple tubular glands, the examples of which are the mucous glands of the colon or the intestinal glands at the crypts of Lieberkühn, no? So, sa intestines, makikita mo yung glands, they look like this, no? Isa lang siyang tube na mahaba, no? So, the secretory portion is elongated and then it's attached to a duct that opens to the surface of the epithelium. Next, you have your branch tubular. So here, this is not to yung titignan nyo dito, as far as the shape is concerned, is the secretory portion, yung kulay orange, no? Or kulay brown ba yan sa picture. So this is the shape that you will look at, no? So here, you can see there is branching, but there is only one duct. So this is a simple gland, not a compound gland, no? So this simple gland, you have tubular portions of the secretory unit that are branched. Okay, so branched tubular uh, glands are seen in the uterus as well as the stomach. Okay. Next, you have your coiled tubular. No? So you can see the shape of the secretory portion is coiled and it is elongated. No? So kaya alam mo na tubular siya at the same time alam mo na coiled. No? Okay. Next. And this is seen in your sweat glands. Okay? Next, you have your acinar or alveolar simple glands, no? As you can see here, you have your sac-like end of these glands. So, di ba yung alveoli, yung air sacs natin, mukha siyang pabilog. So, here, you have alveolar glands. So, mukha rin siyang sac-like. No? So, this is a sac-like secretory portion attached to a duct that opens to the rest of the epithelium. No? So, these acinar glands are seen along the urethra. Okay? So, next, you have your branched acinar or alveolar. So, here, look at the secretory portion again, no? So, this part is acinar, this part is acinar, this part is acinar. And there is branching all together, all linked to a single duct. So, this is a simple branched acinar gland. So, this is seen in the sebaceous glands of the skin. Okay? So, tapos na tayo dun sa simple glands natin. Yung glands natin that you look at the secretory portion kung anong shape and then bilangin kung ilang duct ang meron. So, this for simple glands, there is only one duct. Okay? Next, you have your compound glands. So, your compound glands has different ducts, no? So, there are multiple ducts involved that converge into larger ducts, no? So, the first one, of course, is your tubular, di ba? Pag elongated, yung glands natin, automatic, yung elongated, yung secretory portion ng glands natin, automatic, tubular yun, no? So, here, you have the secretory portion, a secretory portion, and a secretory portion. So, these secretory portions also lead to ducts, and these ducts lead to an even bigger duct, no? So, there are several elongated secretory units, and their ducts converge to form larger ducts. So, an example of which is the submucosal mucous glands of Brunner and in the duodenum or the first part of the small intestine. Okay, and then you have your acinar or alveolar glands, no? As you can see, meron kang sac-like secretory units. And these sac-like secretory units converge at a all secrete into smaller ducts that converge into a larger duct. No? So these compound acinar glands can be seen in the exocrine pancreas. So the part of the pancreas that secretes your digestive enzymes. Okay? Next, you have your tubuloacinar. So tubuloacinar is a mixture of tubular as well as Asigner. And so, merong tubular portions, merong asigner portions. They all drain into different ducts and the ducts converge into larger ducts. And an example of which of your tubular assigner is your salivary glands. Okay? So, that's the end of the lecture. So, for your lab activity, the lab activity, I think, has been posted under modules, no? So, you will submit that sa assignments part of the Canvas. So, the deadline for that activity is next week pa naman, no? So, I suggest you start working on it para kapag nandun na yan, na-upload ko na yung activity, ay pag nagawa ko na yung activity sa Canvas, i-upload nyo na lang siya, no? So, since we have time, you can finish it. So, you print a copy of the activity and then draw. And then, you will upload it as a PDF doon sa Canvas nyo, no? So, pwede rin gamitin yung tablet, basta kailangan handwritten siya. Ayoko ng typewritten for some of these answers, no? Okay? So, questions? This recording will be uploaded naman on YouTube, so you can go through it once again if you have confusion or merong medyo uh, confusing. Pwede nyo siyang balikan. Okay, so and then the lecture link will be just uploaded to your Canvas. Okay, next week we'll also have a quiz on epithelial tissue. Questions? Violent reactions? Wala nang tanong? Then, thank you so much for listening and have a nice day.